Disclaimer: everything that is discussed, posted is strictly for educational and historical purposes only. It does not promote nor condone illegal activities. The Evolution of the Eli Bullyson Family of Dogs, written by T.J. Fisher but posted by Vicky F.G.D. Fisher. I never bred for gameness. I never bred for mouth. I never tried to breed for any specific trait. I understood that from a competition standpoint that winning more times than not was the real goal of everyone that was competing. When I made breedings, what I personally bred for was simple and uncomplicated. I tried to breed and produce dogs that could win more times than not. I strived for a balanced athlete type of dog by design that excelled in all aspects instead of breeding for isolated attributes. It has been over 2 decades since I was involved in the competitive aspect of the A.P.B.T, yet I have never stopped paying attention to the breed. When I was actively participating, most know that I always used the same basic recipe of bloodlines. Almost always, I used a Eli or Bullyson base blended with something else. While I really enjoyed what I was using, I always kept an open mind and a finger on the pulse of the rest of the game dog world. I paid attention to who was using what, and how it was working out for them. I never was one to form opinion out of emotion, hearsay, or thin air. I formed my opinions based on one thing and one thing only. What I saw with my own 2 eyes is how I formed my opinions. I call them my opinions publicly, but eternally, to me in my life, they were facts. Why? Because to me, if it happened and I saw it, it was real, thus making it a fact. I actually saw many of the historic dogs and their offspring of the past that people herald today. People tend to like different attributes of the breed, and some of those attributes carried more weight than others. Some fanciers bred their dogs with the mindset of gameness first and foremost, while others bred for hard mouth or defensive type animals. In my opinion, there was and is no right or wrong when one is doing as they wish with what is theirs. My thought process was entirely different than what almost everyone else would mention theirs to be. I never bred for gameness. I never bred for mouth. I never tried to breed for any specific trait. I understood that from a competition standpoint that winning more times than not was the real goal of everyone that was competing. When someone decides to compete, they do so in hopes of winning. In my estimation, losing in a game manner stings less than losing in a cur manner, but at the end of the day, it is still factually speaking, a loss. The sport, as we called it, was tallied by wins and losses. That said, when I made breedings, what I personally bred for was simple and uncomplicated. I tried to breed and produce dogs that could win more times than not. I strived for a balanced athlete type of dog by design that excelled in all aspects instead of breeding for isolated attributes. Privately, I thought that if one could somehow create a dog that performs like a Eli or Bullyson dog, and that said dog had significantly more athleticism than a typical Eli or Bullyson dog, enabling it to have more natural air to keep that pace longer, the percentage of win-to-loss ratio would rise. Early on, I saw better dogs lose to lesser ability dogs because they got hot and ended up quitting. I also understood that one will always quit from being exhausted more often than from pain and or damage. I knew this from my jiu-jitsu background. When 2 humans engage in combat, the average person never truly understands how helpless they are until they are completely exhausted and all the gas is gone, and they cannot get the other person off them. Mentally, this will break most, and they will give up and quit. This translates to the dogs. A good dog in great shape will always beat a great dog in good shape. 2 great dogs that are both gifted with mouth, ability, and gameness, and are both in great shape will come down to genetics and how the 2 dogs are built. The one that has the additional gift of being built more athletically, enabling it to avoid complete exhaustion longer, will win. All of what I just mentioned is why I adopted the mindset of breeding the most capable, balanced athlete I could. In my later years, I noticed one man in particular was generation after generation, inching closer and closer to exactly what I had been working on until my last days. I noticed each generation of his Eli dogs were better than the previous generation. His line of dogs was living off the now, rather than the past. Each generation was more complete and balanced than the previous generation. The place. Bulldog Hill, the man, Tom Garner. I have seen over 30 years of improvement of the Eli Bullyson bred dogs he uses as his base. There is no such thing as 100% perfection in life, let alone breeding dogs, but the improvement is undeniable, like him and his dogs, or dislike him and his dogs. There is no denying the success and accomplishments from what I have seen firsthand. These Eli Bullyson dogs have evolved and are now better than what I saw the old Boudreaux, Clements, Kimmer, or fill in the blank Eli Bullyson dogs were. This will also answer the question I get asked most often, which is why when I decided to get the pair of dogs that I currently have, why did I go to Bulldog Hill? Tom and I simply share much of the same views on the breed. The dogs in general, maybe not all, but in general are just better versions of their ancestors. When I chose my dogs, we spent the day having conversations about what I had in mind and what my expectations were for both the female and male I acquired. I listened to the man's words and compared what was said to what I saw. I heard him say Champion Louetta was a dog he had no desire to let any direct offspring of hers leave the yard unless a unique situation arose. I also heard him say Ray Lewis was arguably his best male, or in the top 1% of his best by his standards. I remembered those statements when selecting my male. I narrowed my selection down to 3. Tom looked me in the eye and said, I know you, and what you like, and this male in particular strikes me as your type. He is smooth in every way. His choice for me was one of the 3 I had in mind, but he didn't know that because I hadn't mentioned it, my male is sired by Ray Lewis out of a daughter of C.H. Louetta, the pinnacle of the hill. Now having him for over 3 years, he is everything I could hope for in a dog. I have watched for over 30 years the dogs from the hill get better and more consistent with each generation, based on what I have seen and from hands-on experience. It is my estimation and opinion that these dogs are the evolution and next chapter of the rich history of the Eli and Bullyson family of dogs. I truly believe the El Negro family of Eli dogs in particular to be the best of the Eli blood currently available in the world today. Some may agree with me, some may disagree, as we are all entitled to our opinions, but this is my personal, honest opinion. I believe one could go to the hill, acquire a El Negro dog, a Lever Red dog, a Santos dog, and within 3 years' time be able to compete successfully with anyone globally. T.J. Fisher. Well, there you have it, folks, the evolution of the Eli Bullyson family of dogs, written by T.J. Fisher.